And next interface is redundant interface. So we already discussed redundant interface. Basically one interface will work. You can combine more than one interfaces, but actually one interface has to work. Normally we use them. Suppose if you have HA configure, either you have different switches, but you just want to use one switch at the time, and when one switch or one cable or one interface is down, so it will switch over to the other interface. So in that scenario we can use redundant interfaces. So basically only one interface will work, and we will prove as well today. Now in this topology I will use firewall 4, and here is remote switch. Here I connected two interfaces. So let me go to the actual topology. So here on firewall 4 we have two interfaces, which is port 4 and 3. But on the switch side we have 03 and 0. So we will make these two interfaces as a redundant. Suppose one interface is down, so it will switch over to the other interface. It's like when you configure in firewall HA, active passive. So it works the same way, HA, like HA. One interface work at a time, and when that interface is down for some reason, we will see them in the lab. So the other will start work. So now you get the idea what is redundant interfaces, and detail we discussed previously. Okay. So what I need to do, first I need to configure this firewall, because we just previously we just configure firewall 1. So now we need to configure firewall 4, and port 5 is management, and then we will configure rest of the things. So let's go first to firewall 4, and let's go to console, double click. Okay, this is a fresh firewall. We haven't touched them before. We just touch firewall 1. So the default username is admin. There is no password. Enter. New password is 123. Confirm 123. Okay, now we are here. First thing I need to change the name. Config system global. And here I can change set host name, and I will say firewall 4. You can change graphically as well. Okay. And end means I want to get out from here. Next thing, I need to configure management port. By default port 1. There is already everything configured, but port 1 we are using for WAN connectivity. So let me go to config system interface, and which interface? Edit port 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, it's 5. So go to edit port 5, and if I check, so there is nothing configured. So first thing, what I will do, I will say set mode static. By default is already static, but anyway, I change the mode from DHCP to static. And next thing, I will say set IP. Which IP? Which we decide for management. 100.240. And here is 240. I can type the subnet mask by 24 and also 3 times 255, whatever you like. So this is easy. So I type /24. Last thing, I need to allow the management protocol to access this firewall. Otherwise, I cannot access them. Okay. And neither I can ping this IP. So what I need to do, no, there is no commit. When you kick out, when you type end, so it means it's committed. So set allow access. Which allow access? We will discuss this today. What is set allow access? These are the protocol which we can allow. Okay. So right now I just need ping command. So at least I can ping this interface. Next thing, SSH in case, HTTPS, HTTP, and what else I need? That's it. That's enough for me. And then end. End means to save these setting. Okay. And if I go back, config system interface, edit port 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I say show, so these are the setting which I apply. Before there was no setting. Okay. It was like this. Here is. And now I set the IP, I allow this protocol. Okay. And I set the mode static. It was static before as well. Now I can access this device. Okay. Because this is my management cloud and I can reach from here. So let me type here, and username is admin, password is 123. So this is first time. So it will ask me few things. That set the host name, which I already done. And they say change the password, we already done. And now So begin, we will use optimal and okay. We already know this one, and I don't want this again. That's it. So now we access the firewall, because it's the first time. So now I need to configure the interfaces, same like this one. So port 1 is WAN 1, port 2 is WAN 2, this port 5 is management, and I will give name to this one LAN 1 and LAN 2. Okay, so it will be easy for us to distinguish. Okay, so let's go to firewall 4 and go to network, go to interfaces. Okay, port 1, because there is DHCP enabled, so it's get IP automatically from here, from 3 range. So it's okay, we can keep the same, either we can change. So it's get 3.11. so let's click on this one and give them a name WAN 1. I believe this is WAN 1. Let me double check. Yes, this is WAN 1, which we decide. And also the role will be WAN 1, and you can make this IP static as well. And I don't need to allow HTTPS and Forti manager, SSH, only ping, because this is WAN interface, not management interface. That's it, and click OK. Now let's go to port 2. So port 2 will be our WAN 2. Later on we will use them. So let me make them DHCP, it will get IP automatically, and until I will type here WAN 2. And also the role will be WAN. Role is just to distinguish them, otherwise it's not important. And allowed the ping only, and click OK. So after a while port 2 where is, and if you refresh it will get the IP 4 dot something. So let's see, let me refresh. Yeah, so 4.11, it's okay. And just click on this one and make them manual. So rather than to copy and paste, it's better to get through DHCP and then make them static or manual, and okay. So we are done with these two interfaces. Now let's go to port 5. At least give them a name management. So port 5 is this one, and this is our management MGMT. I don't need to allow them any role. And HTTP, ping, SSH, we already allowed these, and it has to be allowed, and click OK. Now the last two interfaces, 3 and 4. So let's give them a name. So this is my 3, okay, and let's give them a name LAN 1 and change the role to LAN. That's it, we don't need to do anything. And also port 4, sorry, LAN 2, and let's change the role and click OK. I believe we need to reset again, but anyway I just give them the name. I think so. In this one I did not allow ping, and we are done. So this is the basic configuration. Next thing is better to configure DNS. So let's go to DNS and we decide 8.8.8 1.1.1. again today we will discuss DNS, and here I will set test.local. This is our domain, and apply. Last thing, we need to configure static route. Now right now we will use only one interface. Later in SD-WAN and routing we will do and discuss. So 3.254 is the gateway, and you can check in your WAN. So 3.254, which is WAN 1. Okay, so let's go to firewall 4, create new, and here gateway 3.254. again it will get automatically the interface, okay, and just leave the default thing and click OK. And last thing, leave it the policy, even though we need a policy, but before that one we need to create redundant interfaces. So we are done with this side. Now let's go to switch to configure these two interfaces. Even though it doesn't require to make them trunk, it will work without trunk as well, and you can make both the interfaces trunk as well. So let's go to switch. We will see both, and the switch, because it's a new switch, so let me change the name so that at least we know. Host name, we give them remote switch, and do right to save the changes, and we are done in the switch. Okay, and now let's start to configure these two interfaces as a redundant interfaces. Okay, so we are done with this one. Okay, and we access the devices, and now let's create these redundant interfaces. So let me go to firewall 4. Keep in mind I'm in this firewall. Okay, and let's go to network and interfaces. Okay, click create new, and here is interface. Click on this interface and let me give them redundant interface, suppose, and here the type should be this one, redundant interface. Okay, so let me give them redundant interface. So this is alias and the type is redundant interface. I believe last time we done VLAN, this one, and after that we will do the rest up. Okay, and the interface member, so we decide 2 member, port 4, 3 and 4. Okay, I'm in firewall, so click on this interface member, and here you can see LAN 1 and LAN 2. I give them these name, you remember, so that will be easy for us. So LAN 1 and LAN 2. Keep in mind this numbering is matter. I will show you. So LAN 1, it means port 3 is the first one and port 4 is the second one. You can make them like this, 2 first and 3 below. Okay, and role is this one, and we decide to give the IP here 254. So let me copy this one, it will be easy for us, and the IP should be the last IP 254. 6 is here, we are using 6 here. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3 should be there somewhere, 4, 5, and this one is 6. Okay, 10.0.6 done. At least allowed ping so that we can test them, and we are done. It was so easy. Just give a name, alias, redundant interfaces, choose the interfaces, how many. In this case we have 2, and click OK, and we are done. And if you go down, here is, I hope so you can see them. I give them this name, redundant interfaces 4 and 3, and we assign them this IP. Okay, and let's go back and open any system from here. Okay, let me click on remote PC 4. Okay, and if there is no IP, we can assign IP. Go to network manager. This is Linux Slack, so easy, and it's require less RAM. So network manager, right click. Okay, everything is on the right click, either you need to click here. So this is the default one. Click on property and click use static IP, and here we decide to assign IP. You can put as many you want. Okay, so let me put 10.0.6. We decide 2 for this remote PC 2, and keep in mind our subnet mask is not 2, 3 and 0. Okay, and DNS, so this is test.local. if you want to type local, and DNS is 8.8.8, and second DNS is 1.1.1, and you can put third DNS as well, but it's okay. So 10.0.6 255, sorry, gateway is 254. Keep in mind a subnet mask and gateway, you need to change them, and click OK. Now what you need to do, click connect, and now it will show you the IP here. It's very small, but it will show you it's here 10.0.6. and also close this one. You can verify, right click, go to terminal and type here Linux command ipconfig, and here you can see 10.0.6.2. okay, and control L to clear the screen, and you can type route to show you the gateway. This is a same command you can use, which you can use in Linux. Okay, so basically this is like a Linux Docker, which require less RAM, and you can do your practice rather than to use Windows machine, which require more RAM. So let's see, after a while it will show you 254. So it's correct, 10.0.6. So let's ping 10.0.6.254. So yes, I can ping my gateway. And what else? Can I go outside? So I believe no, because we don't have firewall policy. So if I try to ping it at 8, so it's not working. So let's go to firewall 4. Okay, and the last thing which I left, we have static route, we have interfaces configure, we have DNS configure. The last thing which requires firewall policy so that my traffic can go out. So there is implicit denied traffic only. So create new, and here you can say that allow LAN to WAN. You can give any name. The incoming interfaces is my redundant interfaces, which has two member, LAN port 4 and 3. So I choose this one, and I want to go out on WAN 1. WAN 2 I'm not using right now. And source can be anything, and destination can be anything. Leave it this one, we will discuss. And services can be anything, and net has to be enabled. And the last thing, I want all session so that I can see the traffic, and click OK. And now if I go back, so it has to start. Yes. So now I can ping 88. Okay. Now the question is which interface I'm using. So let's go back. Let me show you quickly what we done. So here we can it be possible to put WAN 1 and WAN 2 in a zone? Yes, we done this last time, and we will do later on as well. So don't worry, we will do each and everything. Okay. So redundant
Can we see here net translation, please? Because the flipping from the PC to the internet.
Yeah, I will show you. And net we have complete lectures, 2-3 lectures. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah, so we configure this one, redundant interface port 3 and 4. Okay, and we assign this IP. Then we configure DNS. Then we configure static route for ISP1 only, WAN 1. Right now we are not interested for WAN 2. Okay, and then we configure a firewall policy that anything coming from redundant interfaces going to WAN 1 for anything, and net is enabled. Okay, so this is our policy ready. Okay, and then I assign, because this is I use window, but there is Linux, it's okay. So this is, and I put the gateway, and then 88 and whatever 11. Then I test, so the traffic is going out. Now what I need to do, I want to check which interface it's using, because in redundant interfaces we say it will use only one interface. So what I can do, right click on this device and capture. So capture port 3, this one, port 3 and port 4. Okay, so let me start one, and let me minimize this one. By the way, the ping has to be continue, we don't worry about that one. So let me capture port 3 and click OK, and let's capture port 5 as well. Sorry, we are using 3 and 4, sorry. And port 3 is started, and let's see. So okay, this written on the top. Suppose if you are confused, firewall 4 port 3 and firewall port 4. And here, because I'm using ICMP, so I will make them ICMP filter, so it will be more easy. And ICMP, you can see I'm using two interfaces, but the traffic is going on one interface. So it's proof, because Farman asked me last time that yes, because it will combine or not. So I told them that in redundant interfaces only one interface is to work. So it's using port 4. The question is why it's using port 4, why not port 3? Yeah, this can be come in your mind. So you remember I told you here when I was configuring these interfaces, so I told you this order is very important. So which interface I put on the top? 4. On which interface traffic is going? On 4. Let's swap them. So let's delete 4 and 3. Let's put 3 on the top and 4 down, and click OK. And let's click OK, and let's go back, because it will take some time, I believe, to switch over. Yeah, so now you see this one is stopped, the traffic is going there. So this is the first thing which coming in your mind. So it's clear now that the order, it will go on your order. If you put port 3 on the top, so it will use port 3 first. Yeah, if port 3 is down, which I will make them down now. So this question is clear. Now we want to test them. Right now it's using port 3. Let's down the port 3. So I need to go to, because here you cannot make them down. Now these interfaces are combined. So you cannot see them separately like status to make them disable. So it's not possible from here. I need to take the SSH, either the CLI. Okay, stop or is going. Yeah, so S3 is going. So what I can do on firewall, let me open firewall here. I don't know all these three windows you can see or not. Let me make them like this. So 3 traffic is going, but on 4 is not going. So let's go to port 3 to make them down. Okay, so admin 1 2 3 and config system interface, edit port 3 to 3, and now set the status. So we have 2 status, up and down. So let's make them down. Suppose until I put end, it will not. So it will save end, and now you will see the traffic will divert here. You see, now this one is stop and the traffic is going here now. So this question is also clear that it will automatically switch over to the other interface. Now the question is, if I bring up the interface back, the port 3, so do you think it will switch over to the port 3 back? Either it will use port 4 continuously. So this can be in your mind as well. So let's go back to config system interface and edit port 3, and now I say set status up, and let's end. So yes, it will come back to port 3. You see now that up one is started again and this one is stop. So this one is also clear. Why? So the question of why, let me show you here. Control L to clear the screen and firewall, and there is a command diagnose and net link, and I believe we are using interface where is redundant, the last one. And after that, let's first check the name, which name we give them. We give them this name, okay, red interface. And now here put the name, and let me copy paste and enter. So you can see port 3, there is this one is enabled, priority override is enabled. If you disable this one and for some reason port 3 is down, and if the port 3 is come back, so it will not take over again. You see, this concept is similar like a Cisco SA firewall, FTD firewall, Palo Alto firewall, Fortigate, HA. All these firewall we discussed this type of things, that if the firewall is back, so there is also in router and switches, I forgot the name, it's called HSRP, VRRP and GLBP. If you remember, in that technology is also there is a priority, that if the device back, do you want to make them as active? So the same concept apply here. By default is enable.
Preempt.
Yes, preempt. Yes, exactly. This is what I was. So here, yes. So that's why when the port 3 is back, so the traffic is diverted to port 3. So this concept is also clear, and it's only using one interface, and we saw this one. Okay. So let's go back if I miss something. So when we shut down one interface, there is a slight downtime. You may not feel in real world, but it's a simulation. So there is one, because it will switch over directly to the other interface. Okay. And then I bring them up, and then I show you from the Wireshark. Okay. One port was using, and then I switch over to the other interface when we bring them down. Okay. And what else we use this diagnose command? Forget about the CLI command. Just to show you, there is priority override enable. So when the port 3 is back, it will use them again. And that's it. This was redundant interfaces. Most of the time we are using when we have multiple switches connectivity and HA environment. But here, because we don't have a such topology, so here I show you from these two interfaces, and the traffic is going on this interface. When this one is down, it will automatically go on the other interface. But keep in mind, these two interfaces are in access port. If I go to my switch, enable, and if I say show VLAN brief, so these two interfaces on the switch side, 0/3 and 0/0, it's here. You can make them trunk as well. It doesn't mean that it will not work in a trunk. So the traffic is going yes on this one. Let's make these two interfaces trunk. So it's up to you. how you want to utilize these two interfaces. You can make them trunk, you can make them access port, you can make them whatever you like. So this is the last question which can come in your mind. So let me go to config T. I'm already in config T interface range, and which two interfaces on the switch side? It's E0/0 and the other interface E0/3. Okay, no, it's not related to here, I will tell you. Okay, and so I choose both the interface. Sorry, this is E0/3, and here what you can do, switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, switch port mode trunk, and no shutdown. So now if I check here, show interface trunk, so this time I make these two interfaces on the switch side, not on the firewall side. We already make them redundant interfaces. So this time I make them what is called a trunk. So still the traffic is going, no, it stopped for a while because these interfaces are down for a while. So it will start work if I go to remote PC. So yes, there is destination host unreachable because these interfaces, when you make them trunk, so it's shut down, so it will start automatically. So yes, so this is the last thing which can come in your mind related to redundant interfaces. So keep in mind, yes, these interfaces can work on the switch side, can be trunk, and it can be access port. So we saw on both type and it's working properly. And again, you can bring down the interface and it will switch over to the other interface. So this was the redundant interfaces.